Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are going to let people join. So we wanted to say hello and thank you for joining us for today. Hello, everyone who's just joining us now. Welcome. All right. On behalf of DISCUS and the Innovation Showcase sponsor, Spearhead Global, we want to welcome you to our sixth Innovation Showcase. This webinar will be recorded. Thank you to everyone that submitted innovation entries, all the finalists, and audience for their attendance and support of the showcase. I would like to now introduce you to our moderator and CEO of Spearhead Global, Heather Fritchie.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm excited to introduce everybody to all of our finalists. Just a little bit about myself. I'm Heather Fritchie. I'm the CEO of Spearhead Global, and we are a company that is focused on innovation in packaging in the spirits industry, but we're big supporters of innovation throughout the industry, wherever it is. Again, I wanted to thank all of our entrants. We had a record-breaking number, and I'm really excited for all of you to meet our six finalists. Before I start, I just wanted to fill you in on what the prize packages are. So, of our six finalists, there will be three winners. The third place winner gets a complimentary trade show booth at the conference in March in Louisville. Our second place winner will get the same trade show booth and also a year of DISCUS membership. And as a big DISCUS member, I'm so excited for everyone to be part of DISCUS. And the first prize winner gets those two prizes and also a big $10,000 check on stage at the conference in March. Everyone's going to be able to vote for your favorite innovation at the end of today's showcase. Audience voting is going to be available on the DISCUS website, which will be handed out at some point. The recording of the showcase will also be on the website, and public voting will be open for a short time. The public vote will be equal to one judge's vote. So with that said, I would like to introduce you to our judges for this year. First, we have Colin Blake, who's the Vice President of Peggino Stevens and Associates. Second, we have Brian Christensen, who's the publisher of Artisan Spirit magazine and a brand consultant for Glencairn Crystal. We have Christina Costa, who's the head of adult beverage at Inmar Media. And we also have Ian Perez, who's the brand execution manager at Brand Arc, a division of MHW. Thank you guys so much for being judges for us this year. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to hold the timer. Our presenters will each have 6 minutes to present and then 4 minutes for Q&A from the judges. First up is going to be Russ Karsh with Black Swan Wood Products. Off we go.
Hello, everyone. Assuming I'm on and you can hear me. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Russ Karsh. I grew up on a farm with a sawmill nearby. I've always been passionate about wood in our forest. I've been playing Cooper for almost 39 years. I love what I do, and I very much enjoy problem solving, creating things, and improving products and situations. I have multiple functioning patents being used in our industry. The first patent was the infusion spiral, which came about 20 some years ago. The three ideas entered into this competition all revolve around the end grain extraction. By cutting grooves and drilling holes, we definitely create more surface area, but far more importantly, we expose the end grain. Imagine a living tree having veins and arteries, xylem and phloem tubes. The penetration or extraction literally happens 9 times faster going into the ends of the exposed tubes versus through the sidewall of the tubes. By fairly simple math, we have figured out how many cubic inches of wood have been extracted in a traditional barrel over a given amount of time. Our honeycomb barrel and crosscut barrels will extract in 6 weeks what our competitors' barrels will extract in 2 years and 7 months. Why does this matter? Time is money. Age statements on a bottle are great, but our triple gold winning customers several years in a row, literally 10 months in our barrels, speaks volumes. Not to mention, one of our customers won best whiskey in the world, in the entire world in 2022. And many of our customers winning numerous awards for quality and flavor. Many of our customers have told us that they would have never made it had it not been for our barrels to help them get a quality product to the market in such a rapid time. Our patents are changing the industry for both the macro and the micro distillers. Our squirrel barrel came about because of a wood shortage. We had orders for 53-gallon barrels, but could not produce them because we could not buy any staves long enough. Knowing many of the stave mills around the country and knowing most of them put into the chipper anything under 16 inches, we designed the squirrel to utilize this short wood. The squirrel does exactly what a traditional barrel does. The wood there is used where it is needed for flavor and maturation, including the microoxygenation, but not for the structure. There are so many benefits to the squirrel. The squirrel by itself would eliminate 100% of our wood shortages. No more depleting our old growth forests. What if we could make a different flavor in almost have so many different flavors, almost limitless? What if we would put an American oak stave medium toast with a #1 char in the first opening in the squirrel, a French oak medium plus in the second opening, Mongolian oak, whatever toast level and char level? You could literally put a different flavor in every single opening, creating and giving the entire industry an unlimited flavor profile capabilities. What if instead of shipping a barrel on a pallet, once you have the squirrel, now you can get your brand new barrel in a box that is literally 14 inches long and have it shipped by UPS? What kind of money could that save our industry? I believe hundreds of millions of dollars in shipping because of the cost of shipping a full-size barrel. In the rickhouses, how many more gallons of aging spirits could we fit in the same size building, comparing round barrels to square barrels? What if we would have the ability to make a Solaris system just super easy with the valves and different features of the squirrel? Our industry has, moving on to the honeycomb flavoring, the industry has relied on wood for flavoring our spirits for centuries. Some of our distillers will credit the barrel for as much as 80% of the flavor, and that's coming out of the wood. Our honeycomb barrel alternatives are some of the finest in the industry. Our ease of use, quality of product, and quality of flavors are certainly pioneers in we are certainly pioneers in the multiple species usage, again, giving distillers an unlimited variety of flavors to choose from. We have tried just shy of 100 different species, and with 39,363 different species, boy, talk about job security. We are continuing to work on improvements. Our next generation of innovation, our inside out barrel, will definitely change the industry again. No deforestation, the exact same process as a barrel, and aging with absolutely zero black mold problem, and many other positive features. Thank you for your time. Questions, please.
Hey, Russ. Great presentation. Hey, you talked a little bit about the differences between extraction and maturation. How did you kind of find that sweet spot where you're not losing the maturation, you know, kind of the surface area ratio from the actual metal to the wood itself? How did you kind of find that sweet spot?
Okay, so by putting all the extractives into the product in the first 6 weeks, the maturation process is actually accelerated as well, because that process can start from that time forward. Whereas with a traditional barrel, after 2 years and 7 months, you've got the fresh sugars, tannins, and other extractives coming out of the wood. So you are actually accelerating it by allowing that to start from the beginning on. The wood in our barrels, because of the depth of the crosscuts and the drilled holes, actually makes our staves thinner and allows for slightly more micro-oxygenation to happen compared to a traditional barrel. And so in that sense, we are also accelerating that maturation. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, that was perfect. Thank you, Russ.
Okay. Thank you.
Russ, great presentation, really interesting. What's the life cycle of the squirrel?
So the stainless steel frame is indefinite. It's made out of 16 gauge stainless, 304 stainless food grade, and should literally last 25, 30 years. The wood staves you can certainly reuse, but if you're going to go for a new barrel, you'd replace the staves after every batch. Or depending on what you want to do, you could certainly leave some of the older staves in and just replace a few of the staves.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hey Russ,
Yeah.
with
Hi.
the squirrel, what ratio on the interior of those structures is the steel to wood ratio?
We're about 83%. So
83% of the interior is the wood?
the wood that we have in a squirrel, because of all the surface area that we're creating, makes up for the fact that the top of the barrel is stainless, and the bottom obviously being stainless, and then the frame that is between the wood itself. But we have approximately 83%, 83 point some percent surface area of wood in our 60-gallon barrel compared to a 53-gallon or 200-liter barrel. So
Fantastic.
yes, we definitely have slightly less, but again, because of the thickness of our staves and the cubic volume of wood that has been exposed or extracted, we accelerate more than what a traditional barrel does. Why would we cut holes in a perfectly good stainless steel tank? Because we're trying to replicate exactly what a wooden barrel does with the micro-oxygenation. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for your time, Russ. Question in relation to because it's such a change in terms of how things are traditionally done. Like, what kind of pushback have you gotten from distilleries?
Oh, plenty. But if I can say, we're kind of used to that. Back in the early 2000s, when we came out with the first the infusion spiral, man, we were accused of voodoo and all kinds of different things. But when our customers literally have won 5 years in a row triple gold in the San Francisco trials, the successes that we're having is definitely making that process easier to convince people to use them. So the more we get out, the more success we have.
All right, Russ, thank you so much for your time. We're happy to have you here. And I'm going to switch over now to Michael Swanson with Far North Spirits.
If I can say one more thing, I'm going to sneak out of here and I'm going to go see my 5-hour-old brand new grandson. So, have a great day, everyone.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Michael, you ready to go?
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Michael Swanson. I'm the co-founder, farmer, and head distiller at Far North Spirits in Hallock, Minnesota. We're the northernmost estate distillery in the contiguous U.S., and this map is just to show you that we're not kidding about the name Far North. So shortly after building our distillery on the farm, I asked myself a simple, but it turned out radical question. What if rye varieties, like grapes, express flavor differently? Can you imagine the horror of this wine shelf? And so, what if you could prove that in whiskey, like wine, varietal matters, and that the flavor of the whiskey begins not in the fermenter, but in the field? See, for generations, the grain used to make whiskey has been treated as an industrial raw material. Even today, Most distillers buy rye as a commodity. Truckloads of grain from grain merchants sourced from numerous farms and regions, and this means that dozens of varieties are blended together and sold simply as rye, variety not stated. And that system hides the identity of the grain and erases its potential role in flavor. Meanwhile, other categories, wine, coffee, agave, proudly name their varietals. Consumers know about Pinot Noir, Blue Weber, and Arabica, but in rye whiskey, until now, no one could tell you what variety was in that bottle. So in 2015, with support from a Minnesota Department of Ag research grant, I launched a first of its kind rye study, a systematic investigation into how rye grain varietals influence whiskey flavor. I planted 15 certified rye varieties in 1 acre test plots on our family farm, and we grew open pollinated as well as hybrid rye varieties. For each variety, we tracked yield, winter hardiness, and other agronomic characteristics, and then we processed each of them separately at Far North Spirits. We measured mash behavior, distillate yield, and most importantly, flavor. Nearly 200 participants, distillers, bartenders, whiskey writers, and consumers, joined in blind tastings. The results were groundbreaking. Varietal differences not only survived distillation, but they had their own unique flavor and personality, aroma, mouthfeel, spice, sweetness, all of this driven by the grain. As we aged these whiskeys, the plot thickened. Barrel aging didn't erase varietal character, it amplified it. Some varieties that seemed similar as new make, like Oakland and Spooner, for example, matured into whiskeys of remarkable depth, complexity, and most importantly, difference. We discovered that varietal matters. This means that the seed is the key to a whiskey's soul, with barrel aging playing an important supporting and enhancing role. That discovery opened the door to an entirely new category, single varietal rye whiskey. Since completing the study, we've grown and released 3 varietal expressions, Hazlitt, Musketeer, and Oakland, with Rosen, Spooner, and an ancient varietal called Midsummer in the works. Each label names the varietal, the first time to our knowledge that that's been done in American rye whiskey. Consumers responded immediately, not just to flavor, but to story. Whiskey lovers understand place and origin. They care about where things come from. And this work also impacts agriculture. It encourages growers to consider flavor alongside yield and brings farmers back to the center of the flavor conversation. Distillers can now differentiate themselves through intentional varietal selection, not just clever marketing and barrel choice. That's real innovation, changing how an industry thinks about its raw material. This model is replicable as well as scalable. Any distiller working directly with growers can adopt varietal rye, just as vintners choose grape varieties suited to their climate. Once we establish a variety's flavor profiles, we can explore the impact of other factors, soil health and composition, pollinator activity, crop rotation, agricultural techniques and land stewardship, weather, there's dozens of variables here alone, and grain handling as well. Keep in mind, this is before the grain ever enters the distillery. Because Far North is an estate distillery, we plant, harvest, mill, mash, ferment, distill, and age on site. We've produced credible, reproducible data others can build upon. It's also sustainable. We use regenerative farming practices, nearly eliminate grain transport, and maintain pollinator-friendly habitat on the farm. This ties land stewardship directly to whiskey quality. Not only does the agricultural ecosystem become more sustainable by creating more resiliency and adaptability, but your business model becomes more sustainable as well. Because this model can be replicated, but it can't be duplicated. It allows farmers and distillers to differentiate their products by place. And that uniqueness opens up the potential for new audiences and new consumers. We hear it every time we pour. I didn't know rye could taste like this. Single varietal rye whiskey creates new value for producers and consumers alike. For distillers, it's an essential tool for differentiation and authenticity. For farmers, it rewards flavor and diversity over yield alone. And for drinkers, it offers a deeper and more distinctive flavor and story in every glass. Single varietal rye whiskey redefines what American whiskey can be by reconnecting it to its agricultural roots. It proves that flavor begins in the field and that rye whiskey, like wine, has a profound sense of place. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, let's do some questions.
So I have many questions. I love projects like this. Big nerd. I used to run a distilling school. So, first, have you been able to do this over multiple years and find that the flavor profile is notably the same year over year?
That's been, yeah, short answer is yes. That's been a really interesting finding is we've had, you have yield differences every year. You have dry years and wet years. And what I've found is that especially with the open pollinated varieties, the flavor comes through consistently year on year. I've been growing and distilling Hazlitt now for 12 years, and Hazlitt tastes like Hazlitt on dry years and wet years and on low yielding years and on bumper crop years. I've been surprised to discover that. The differences between the varieties are significant, but the open pollinated varieties maintain their flavor profile year on year.
And one quick follow-up. Are you also tracking, since you're looking at individual varietals on the starch available in each one of those varietals?
I haven't tracked it in the lab, but we do track what we see in the cooker and in the fermenters. And we do, when I say that varieties have their own personalities, I mean in the field, in the cooker, in the fermenter, coming off the still and coming out of the barrel. Some are an absolute bear in the mash cooker. You wouldn't want to mash them in front of your grandmother. You're swearing too much, but they do require different enzyme additives and different ways of dealing with them. You just have to get to know them.
Perfect. Thank you.
Michael, I also love anything to do with the agricultural side. This is great. This is right up my alley. So I apologize in advance that I'm going to dirty the conversation by asking fiscal questions. What has this done to your cost of goods?
Because we grow them ourselves, the cost of goods remains pretty consistent. You can slice and dice it down a little bit when you think about yield of some of my heirloom and ancient varieties that don't yield as much.
Mhm.
Because your bushels per acre. But when you're growing for flavor, you're not hard pressed to produce yield. And so on the agronomic side, you're not under as much pressure. But in the distillery, because this is such a niche product, the cost of goods is going to be higher. But also factor in that when you're not transporting it more than a few hundred feet,
Right.
it really keeps your cost of goods relatively low.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Michael. In terms of consistency, how do you make sure that the flavor profile is consistent given there's so many variables? And can that sometimes be a challenge or an opportunity to kind of have a little bit of a slightly different flavor given the temperature, given the way the season has gone?
Mm-hmm. I think because we make sensory cuts, um, it would be extremely difficult to duplicate uh, the variety distilled here at Far North as opposed to somewhere else because it's our noses and palates. And they're so much more sensitive than most instrumentation. And so with consistency, I think that works in our favor because we want to put our own unique stamp on the place. And so it follows with that whole concept.
All right, thanks, Christina. I'm so sorry if you had a question. We're out of time on question and answer. Michael, thanks so much for being here. Thank you. All right, moving on to contestant number 3. I have Luke and Diego from Galloway. Guys, take it away.
Thank you. Share screen here. So I know our judges here are a fun group, so they're going to really relate to what I say next. If you've ever dropped a shot of Irish cream into a pint of Guinness for an Irish car bomb, or left a dirty soda sitting out too long, you've seen it happen before. Curdling. It's the reason you're told to never mix dairy and alcohol or acid. Until now. I'm Luke Gambaro, Director of Beverage Sales for Galloway Company. For decades, we've specialized in cream liqueurs and ready-to-drink beverages. But the one thing that has always limited the cream liqueur category as a whole is mixing acidic ingredients with cream. Well, we've cracked that code.
I'm Diego Benitez, Director of Research and Development, and I have spent my career developing new technologies and products in the dairy and beverage industry. Our acidified cream liqueur base is the first of its kind, a stable dairy base that can handle alcohol and high acid flavors like citrus or berries without curdling. Through our proprietary processing techniques, we've gently transformed the structure of milk proteins using controlled acidification, creating a clean, stable emulsion without additives, stabilizers, or artificial ingredients. The result, a creamy, authentic base that can highlight bright, tart flavors, something the industry has been limited in doing before.
Consumer tastes are evolving faster than ever, but it is clear what the next generation of drinkers are seeking out. First, lower ABV options. Cream liqueurs naturally fit this profile since they typically have to be between 12 and 20% ABV due to stability and food safety. Second, RTDs. The segment is booming, there's no question about it. And while cream is not the first thing that comes to mind necessarily when thinking about RTDs, the success of White Russians, creamy espresso martinis, cappuccinos, and Irish coffees have opened the door for more innovation in the space. Which brings us to our third trend, innovative flavors, particularly in citrus and fruit, which is where our innovation shines. For the first time, beverage companies can create products that combine real dairy and real fruit flavor without compromising on stability, texture, or shelf life.
And this isn't theoretical. It's ready to scale right now. Galloway Company already manufactures the majority of cream liqueur bases in the US. We have been leading the space for over 2 decades. That means this technology can move from R&D to full-scale production immediately, leveraging infrastructure that already exists and expertise that's already proven.
Speaking of infrastructure, every batch produced supports Wisconsin's family dairy farms and local jobs, something Galloway Company has proudly done for 4 generations. We source milk from within 100 miles of our facility, ensuring the freshest taste in every sip. In fact, a large driver of that freshness comes from the average time of when a milk truck arrives at our facility to when the product is ready to be bottled. It is often less than 24 hours. Our in-house engineering team, in partnership with our R&D team, has created this breakthrough process without requiring any additional additives for stability, meaning it's naturally aligned with clean label manufacturing trends. You could say farm to bottle.
This innovation is more than a chemistry breakthrough. It's the key to unlocking the next era of flavor innovation in dairy-based alcohol. From Bailey's in the 70s, rum chata in the 2000s, each generation redefined what a cream liqueur could be.
With our acidified cream liqueur base, we're helping our customers redefine the rules again, opening the doors to vibrant, fruit-forward cream liqueurs, cocktails, and RTDs that consumers have been waiting for. The next chapter of cream liqueur innovation starts here with Galloway.
Thanks so much, gentlemen. Okay, let's open it up to some questions.
I can go first. As an Irish person, it pains me to say this, but what about especially when you talked about the boom in terms of RTDs, especially the younger folks drinking them these days, what do you say to the folks talking about like dairy-free options and that kind of stuff?
So this innovation would work with dairy-free options as well. It's not just limited to the dairy-based things. The younger consumers are looking for difference. We know that. And so whether it's non-dairy or dairy, it doesn't matter. They're looking for new innovative flavors, and citrus and fruit tend to be taking the lead in consumer preferences right now for the younger generations in particular.
And part of our R&D developments are also exploring ways that we can apply this same technology to a dairy-free base. It's a difficult question for a dairy company, but some consumers choose different, and we have something for them.
That's great. Question about taste. So, of course, yes, agreed that, the younger generation wants variety and flavor. How does the taste compare?
It's actually very clean. It is tart, so you're going to have the flavors in citrus and berries that are going to pop a lot more. So, for example, in some of our prototyping, when we use natural flavors to create a product, we have to use a lot less flavor to create a similar flavor intensity. So we think that it's going to be advantageous not only financially but also flavor-wise when you have a clear background, clean dairy flavors that you can put something fruity on top. The acidity really pops those flavors out.
Thank you.
Great presentation, guys. Quick question. How does this compare in terms of shelf stability and cost to your base offerings?
It is almost identical. There's no sacrifice in self-stability, which is the key concern for cream liqueurs on a production side, but also a consumer side as well. So it's shelf stable, does not require any refrigeration, and still maintains the same shelf life as a normal cream liqueur or a non-dairy cream liqueur.
And is the cost about comparable?
Yes. Yep.
That's great.
Does that do it for questions, everybody? Lots of nodding. All right, Luke and Diego, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate your time and congratulations. All right. Now I would like to introduce Lorraine Terry and Ann Dimmick from Ohio Liquor.
Good afternoon. Ohio is the heart of it all and the heart of spirits innovation. I'm Lorraine Terry, Vice President of Jobs Ohio Beverage System, representing a one-of-a-kind public-private partnership in a control state, known to consumers and suppliers as Ohio Liquor. Suppliers invest roughly 1 to 5% of their retail sales in marketing, yet in most markets, that investment only reaches a few stores or a limited digital audience. The result? Great ideas that don't always achieve their full potential. I'm Ann Dimmick, Senior Director of Commercial Strategy and Growth. 5 years ago, promotions were fragmented and supplier-led. So together, we set out to change that. We built something new, an omni-channel marketing platform that connects suppliers and consumers and makes every dollar work harder. Our goal was to turn one-off promotions into a unified, scalable engagement system that drives results for suppliers and creates real excitement for consumers. Through our partnership and a network of 482 privately owned retail stores, Ohio Liquor developed a repeatable model for experiential consumer engagement. It delivers measurable impact, driving incremental sales, strengthening supplier relationships, building trust with our consumers, and promoting responsible discovery of brands and categories across Ohio. Powered by deep industry expertise and data-driven marketing, we now generate over 1 million monthly visits to our website, ohlq.com, host over 200,000 email subscribers, and recently launched the new OHLQ mobile app, connecting consumers to education, inventory, and events in real time. We've built a platform that unites storytelling, retail activation, and analytics to make every campaign count. We've created a best-in-class integrated omni-channel model, aligning marketing, logistics, and consumer engagement in a way that no other spirits retailer is doing at this scale. It's a system that fuels growth responsibly and amplifies supplier investment. And the results speak for themselves. With events like Single Barrel Saturday and over $2 million in sales in the first day, 9 million impressions. We've had category events such as Gintopia and Irish Cask and Craft, hosting more than 100 brands and creating statewide experiential education. Brand ambassador visits, leveraging high demand releases to drive core portfolio lift. And OHLQ Holiday Lottery Quest, driving 172,000 door swings, 20,000 social media engagements, and lifting sales 10% year over year in our more than 200 participating locations. In short, our experiential programs have become some of the most anticipated spirits events in the country, driving excitement, education, and responsible enjoyment in our state. Let us show you. What you just saw is the power of partnership. Marketers, suppliers, and retailers working together to create something truly special. This is innovation that fuels growth, builds trust, and sets a new standard for collaboration in spirits retail.
Every finalist in this showcase makes the industry better. Ohio Liquor makes it bigger, expanding access, excitement, and opportunity for everyone.
We're proud of what we've built and even prouder of what it represents. When business and creativity work together, innovation doesn't just happen, it scales. Thank you for this opportunity and for recognizing what's possible when all work as one team.
We appreciate your time and we're happy to answer any questions you have.
Perfect. Thanks, Lorraine and Ann. All right, handing it over for questions.
Hi, is this very impressive platform available only in Ohio or is it outside of Ohio as well?
This is only available in Ohio. This is definitely a true innovation from Ohio Liquor.
You can think of us as a large-scale retailer with 482 locations, and we've managed to align marketing with the marketing efforts of the suppliers that we work with and match it to the interests of our consumers.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I'll go. You're speaking my language here. So how easy is it? How easy is it for suppliers and their agencies to work with you guys? And what's like the process of that?
Well, that's the beauty of a control state, really, is suppliers of brands have one customer. It's us, right? It's Ohio Liquor. And then through that, we work to amplify that spirit or that brand, and especially that category through all of our 482 outlets they're in contract with us, right? So it's our responsibility to work very closely with them and help every retailer and every brand kind of spotlight that spirit.
And in terms of,
go ahead.
I was going to say, in terms of ease, it's a very even playing field as well. We don't charge to be a part of our marketing programs. We don't charge to have your products on our website, and uploading all of your information to your PDPs. Speaking the e-commerce side is actually part of as you submit the product for listing. So it's something available to everybody, and our website actually tracks inventory near real time, updates every 10 to 15 minutes for more than 5,000 products across the nearly 500 locations. And so we can work with you to actually drive your online digital marketing investment right to where your product is available on a store shelf right now.
Awesome. Thank you.
Have you found this has worked well to kind of push, because a lot of distilleries have their own tasting rooms as well? Do you find that this works well to push people to individual tasting rooms and vice versa? Have they been able to push their customers to your events as well?
I would say absolutely. Yeah. We actually are just gearing up for a yet to be announced Ohio made tasting opportunity. So where we really do want to bring consumers into our liquor stores, but then also help Ohio made create a relationship. So it's taking what we did with the big national brands in September for Bourbon Heritage Month, applying it to Ohio made, and really just kind of circle of life, making sure everybody knows where the product is available for sale.
Love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
We've got 1 more minute for questions if anyone wants to ask a follow-up. Going once, going twice. Lorraine and Anne, thanks so much for being here. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, and now it is my pleasure to turn this over to Proof 8 with Nim Siwardana. I hope.
Siwardana. Yes, thank you.
Yes, good. I'm going to stop doing that, and I'm going to hand it over to you.
No problem. Okay, so my name is Nim Siwardana. I'm the co-founder of Proof 8. And today I'm here to talk to you about digital deeds, how we can bring certainty to every barrel that you're managing. Let's look at the problem first. What we've seen with a bunch of our customers that we start with is that there's often fragmented record keeping. And this is really down to a lack of innovation in the kind of technology that's available at these kinds of places like distilleries and warehouses, right? There's often multiple systems that's keeping track of, information such as who owns what barrel, what's actually in a barrel of whiskey, for example, right? This is kind of fundamental information that you need to keep track of. And this kind of raises a whole bunch of operational issues, compliance issues, a whole bunch of, tracking issues and traceability issues. You can't really track at detail at a spreadsheet level, right? Well, you could, you just end up with a whole plethora of spreadsheets that you've got to manage. Kind of the downstream issues that we're seeing from this is that you've got this inability to authenticate the provenance of spirits. By that, what I mean, if you're, let's say, for example, an independent brand and you're looking to bottle matured stock, you're going to buy a parcel of barrels. Where is the history of those barrels? It's very difficult to get hold of that. I mean, it's probably sat in a spreadsheet in some warehouse or distillery, kind of useless to you as you go to bottle this product and actually make your brand off the back of that, right? Not only that, you have various disputes and fraud that can happen. In terms of disputes, for example, we have a case in the UK right now where a broker has gone out of business and everyone's kind of running around trying to figure out who owns what barrels that this broker has sold to that's stored in all these warehouses and distilleries. So this is really a fundamental problem. Your barrels are your most valuable asset, but you have to ask yourself the question, where's the proof, right? And that's really where we come in with our digital deeds. Now, our goal is to have a single digital deed for every barrel that exists. And what that does is it provides complete certainty over that particular barrel. Typically, what happens is the physical asset, which is the barrel, is twinned with a digital asset, the digital deed itself. The digital deed is actually issued by the distillery that fills that barrel, which means if I'm somebody who's buying that barrel, let's say, for example, I'm that independent brand, I will know with complete confidence that that barrel came from that distillery. Not only that, the fact that this digital deed exists means that you can actually prove with confidence who actually owns that barrel, because the digital deed is held by the digital account that actually owns that barrel. So there's a whole bunch of side effects that you get from this. One of them is the fact that it's self-custody. I mean, I actually control my own digital deeds. I don't have to rely on somebody else to manage them for me, right? But it's provable. Somebody could look at the system and say, oh, I can see that Bob over there owns that particular barrel. One of the other side effects of these digital deeds is that they're trade ready. What does that mean? Well, actually, you can trade these things. Now, we do know that there is this marketplace where basically you can go and actually trade barrels, but it's actually not transparent. So when a barrel trades hands, for example, the warehouse doesn't know. Definitely the distillery doesn't know. By this point, they could be so far removed down the chain, right? But with digital deeds, you've got that full transparency all the way through. So you have that kind of chain of custody. You'll know exactly who owned that barrel all through its lifetime. What the digital deeds do is they provide an authentication layer, right? There's basically functions like product passports. The European Union, when you bring assets in, you need to be able to prove the origins of these things. You can do that using the digital deed. Fraud prevention, as I mentioned, the idea with the digital deed is that you can only transfer it once and it can only have one owner, which means you immediately remove problems like brokers, unscrupulous brokers who are selling the same barrel twice, for example. And this has happened. I'm sure you've read all the stories, right? How does this actually work? Well, what we do is we use this blockchain technology to effectively issue the digital deeds. So when they're created by the producer, the distillery, that's when the digital deed is created on the chain. And once it's being created on the blockchain, what happens is every change that the distillery or the warehouse or whoever owns it does to that barrel, that data is recorded securely against that particular digital deed. And it's immutable, means that you can't go back and change it, right? So in other words, from a regulatory perspective, you know that when you look at that detail against that particular digital deed, there's complete confidence in the history of that particular barrel. And this solution scales from craft distilleries all the way to global enterprises, right? The practical day-to-day, what does that actually work? How does it actually work? Well, very simple. When the distillery fills a barrel, they apply a QR code onto the barrel, and at the same time, the digital deed is created. So they issue the digital deed. From day 2 to however long you mature the barrel for, effectively every single transaction you do on that barrel is logged against that barrel. So if you take a sample, if you move it from warehouse to warehouse, if you sell it to somebody else, all these details are tracked against that barrel, which means right at the end, when you go to actually bottle the barrel, you've got that full history. You know exactly who's owned it, you know exactly where it's been, potentially even what kind of climate data that you could associate with that. If it's in a warehouse that had sensors, you could actually take that data and record it against the barrel. You know exactly how it behaved, right? So all that data is effectively available against that barrel. Now,
30-second warning.
Sorry, this isn't just a concept. This is actually real. We've got multiple customers. We've got over 300,000 barrels with digital deeds. There's customers in the US, UK, and Ireland who are using this platform to effectively issue this securely and provide ownership to the end users of these barrels, right? We're seeing, the reporting requirements, for example, go down because the fact that all this data is recorded in a compliant way. Zero ownership disputes as a result of this. What's the wider industry impact? Well, we think the future is really in digital verification. For distilleries, when you have these provable...
I'm so sorry, that's time.
Sorry, no worries. I'll stop there.
That's okay. I'm sure we might get to some of this in the questions. All right, so let me stop and start the 4-minute timer for questions.
Great concept. Thank you so much. So with that, when you're selling a barrel, let's say I bought barrels, how would I, as a non-producer, non-entity, have access to all that data and the deed and show up for me?
For sure. So basically, when the deed is created, it's created on the blockchain, right? And every transaction is also logged against that particular digital deed. The platform that you'll use to look at your digital deed, so you have to have some sort of viewing application that gives you ability to access that information. So we have a separate platform that's available for consumers where they can log in and they can look at their digital deeds, right? And when they look at the digital deed, they can see all the information about that barrel and all the history of around that barrel, basically the transaction log that's associated with that particular barrel, right? And so you can see all the transfers of ownership, for example, or the movements, any data change to that barrel is logged on the blockchain and is visible to anybody that wants to look at it effectively.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Nim, I have a question. How much does it cost? And is it a per barrel rate? Is it like a subscription? Like, how do I get involved on that side?
So you can't really build digital deeds in isolation. And so what we've done is we've actually integrated that into our ERP system, which we provide to distilleries and warehouses, right? And so effectively what happens is that, as a distillery or warehouse, you would use our ERP system instead of maybe one of the existing incumbent ones or Excel spreadsheet, and you get this digital deed functionality built in. Where basically the relationship changes is if you're then trading these digital deeds. So if you're in a marketplace and you trade the barrel, effectively there's obviously a transfer cost, which is the cost of moving that deed at the blockchain level from one digital account to another digital account, right? These things are minimal these days. These costs are like, less than pennies in some instances, right? But the reality is that when you do a trade like that, there's obviously a commission that the marketplace will charge to, move those particular barrels across, right? So overall, from a distillery perspective, that's already built into the ERP platform, and it can be built into any ERP platform. But from a consumer perspective, that really happens at that point where you do the trade.
Would it be possible to extend this down to the consumer level of once something is actually bottled, so you could actually put the code onto the bottle itself, and then you could kind of get the origination or the number of bottles put into it, or barrels
So that's
bottled?
the final stage of what we do, right? Which is that you can then put things like NFC chips on the bottle or QR codes on the bottle, which then link to effectively a verification token on the blockchain that proves that bottle's authenticity as well, right? But it's also linked to which barrels basically fed into that bottle. So you've got that full history going all the way back to the grains that went into that cask, effectively, or barrel, basically. Any other questions?
All right, one more minute for questions if anyone wants to add another one.
I think my only other last one is, could this also be integrated in the management side of the barrels for when they are doing tasting notes? So when someone goes through it, say 6 months or 2 years, and they taste it, can they then enter that information into the tracker as well?
It is. That's correct. Yeah. So basically through our ERP system, for example, when they do a sampling task on the barrel, they're recording things like, tasting notes or, nosing notes, whatever it is, right? Any sort of quality markers that they want to put against that particular barrel, that can also be recorded. This is really functionality that will be exposed at the ERP level, right? So the system that you're going to be using to manage your barrels. And so it depends on the capabilities of that ERP system. But the digital deeds have the ability to track all that information along with those, whatever the ERP can expose, basically, right? So this is natively built into our ERP system, but obviously, it depends on the capabilities of the other ERP systems that you're using to manage your production. Right?
Nim, thanks so much. I appreciate your presentation. And then moving on to last but definitely not least, we have Emily Darchuk with Wayward Spirits. Take it away, Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily Darchuk, founder and maker behind Wayward Spirit, where we are trailblazing the next era of spirits. The liquor aisle hasn't changed in decades, but consumers have, and the status quo is no longer cutting it. Traditional categories are struggling as consumers are demanding more transparency, sustainability, versatility, and innovation from the brands they support. We see it too, and we're here to make a difference. At Wayward Spirit, we are breaking the mold to do things differently for the right reasons. And that philosophy explains not only what we make, but also why we make it. Wayward Spirit and Wayward Whiskey are first of their kind specialty spirits crafted from upcycled whey. Our innovation defines us as a specialty spirit, providing the competitive advantage to deliver fundamentally better spirits and empower consumers to taste a difference and make a difference. And the current industry landscape has portfolios that are overrun by a sea of the same. We saw that there was a gap between what's offered and what modern shoppers seek. Wayward Spirit and Wayward Whiskey sit in the sweet spot, offering complex flavor and incredible versatility that is like nothing else on the market. Our premium purpose-driven specialty spirits offer a blue ocean opportunity, a transitional category spirit driven by award-winning flavor, versatility, and values. We deliver industry-disrupting innovation that can replace any traditional spirit on the shelf and also empower mixologists, customers, and retailers to do more with less, just as deliciously. And this vision to create a spirit where you can taste a difference and make a difference came from my insights working as a food scientist. Along that journey, I saw a food system in crisis, where over 30% of all food produced in the United States is wasted, including billions of pounds of whey, a co-product of cheese production. I also saw the needs of today's more mindful consumers were not being met. So Wayward Spirit was founded with the bold idea to create the change I hope to see across the food system by upcycling this overlooked ingredient into a beautifully balanced spirit, transforming a food system challenge into a premium beverage that meets the needs of today's consumer. And we're defined as a specialty spirit because I take a more holistic approach to my fermentation and distillation. We upcycle whey rather than using a typical grain, grape, or agave as a fermentive base of our spirit. And with our circular approach to production, every bottle prevents gallons of food waste, delivers a significantly lower carbon and water footprint, supports domestic agriculture, and connects people to where their food comes from. But what really makes us taste different is the unique approach we take in distillation, which also allows us to naturally retain a signature flavor profile true to its source. And Wayward's signature flavor profile has oaky hints of vanilla cream, warm spice, and a velvety smooth finish. It's versatile enough to be used in place of any traditional clear spirit for a convenient and trusted cocktail tool, earning us the reputation of being called the Swiss Army knife of spirits. Its unique profile has received top accolades as a sipping spirit, but can also elevate any cocktail occasion. The natural evolution of our brand was to then launch Wayward Whiskey, starting with the award-winning flavor of Wayward Spirit and allowing it to develop a rich character in upcycled oak barrels. Smooth, complex, and sippable, it's a grain-free alternative to traditional aged spirits with more approachable notes of oaky vanilla, toasted toffee, and warm spice that naturally develop from farm to casks to flask. Together, Wayward Spirit and Wayward Whiskey's signature flavor delivers a unique two-bottle cocktail solution where you can make any drink under the sun. Instead of a celebrity on our brand, we make the mixologist the star, allowing anyone to showcase their creativity and storytelling through easy-to-make drinks that delight with the unexpected. And as consumers are adopting a less but better mindset, we deliver the ultimate give me something different pour. For the spirit lover at home, we can efficiently stock their bar cart with just 2 high-quality bottles instead of having to invest in a full bar, allowing them to cost-effectively make any drink they want to try, no matter what occasion arises or what cocktail trend next pops up on their social media feed. And our versatility also delivers a huge advantage off-premise. For our retail partners, our spirits are the bridge between light and dark spirits for a more cohesive shelf set. We can also drive growth and help optimize shelf space by replacing any underperforming SKU. And we can also uniquely drive discovery through exciting cross-aisle merchandising with our extensive pairing and partnerships that can bring new consumers down the spirit aisle. The U.S. spirit industry touches nearly every hospitality venue and the majority of U.S. households, and we aim to set a new standard where sustainability, innovation, and quality can go hand in hand. And as a company with big ideas, we've been focusing on adding value to all of our stakeholders from day one, so as we grow, our impact grows. We've built strong traction across sales channels and in multiple markets, and are even values-led sourcing partners to brands like Ben & Jerry's, who use our spirit in their products and highlight our partnership on pack. Our work has been recognized by top spirit competitions, local and federal governments, and trade agencies. And as a maker, I've been personally recognized as a 40 under 40 leader in the beverage industry, a 2025 Woman to Watch in Hospitality, and a GRIST environmental fixer for all of the work we have done to educate about food waste prevention, allowing us to be a catalyst to bring more sustainable bar programs across categories and regions. Now the spirits industry is ready for something new, and Wayward Spirit is ready to lead the way. Cheers to the next era, crafted the Wayward way.
Great job, Emily, and congratulations on all your accolades. It's really awesome. Question for you is, when I heard the word whey, I immediately thought of, whey types of protein and typically the kind of negative connotation that it does have when it comes to like the dairy byproduct and how it could bother people's stomachs. And with the consumer being very wellness minded, like how are you navigating some of those challenges and discussions when it comes to dairy and just some of those types of people who are backing away from those types of dairy substances?
Yeah, so if you're backing away from dairy from an environmental standpoint, we have great stats behind that on how we fit within the circularity of that system. If you're avoiding dairy because you think you have sensitivity, there's not actually dairy in our end product. We're using that as our fermentive base that's creating that beautiful flavor profile that we're then strategically making cuts to be able to carry that over. So it's mild, but complex at the same way and doesn't have that bite that a grain might have. But typically, like, depending on the age of the consumer, they either like have a familiarity from Little Miss Muffet and her curds in the whey, or more modern or younger consumers are thinking about whey protein and that. So it's been a great gateway to be able to talk about how that's made, how that fits in. And then also for us, we're trying to be really transparent on what we're made from and our journey. We don't add any flavors or additives or anything into our spirit other than water to proof. So in a lot of ways, those consumers that really care about that clean label and what they're consuming can appreciate that transparency that we're bringing that not every brand does.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Kudos. I've worked on some whey development projects in the spirit space, and it makes a beautiful spirit. So hopefully more and more people will check it out. So one question I have is the whey that you are using, is it part of your own food cycle or part of your own company, or are you taking byproduct waste from other companies and using it for your product?
Yeah, so we partner with sustainable dairies. I'm trying to be that bridge between the alcohol industry and the dairy industry to really be able to utilize a byproduct. So we're actually the only spirit, sorry, that can use that real California seal. And that's because of the partnerships we've developed with maker or dairy producers across the state to be able to contribute. That's something we're talking about, a national and a global problem, not something that's just in one person's backyard. So we're all about that power of partnerships and also highlighting other makers and dairy producers. And our goal is to be able to, use every drop of that way so nothing goes to waste.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
When you're working with whey itself and fermenting it into the end product, did you have to overcome any barriers? Is it difficult to work with? What's some of the science behind it?
Yeah, so starting even when we were talking about it, and this is where it's exciting, and I'm really seeing this transition happen, especially in the spirits category. When we were talking about food waste, it was crazy concept. When we were talking about anything non-traditional category, it was a crazy concept. When we were talking about flavor and mindful drinking, it was a crazy concept, but everything's kind of caught up. And I really say the food industry is a supply chain industry. And when you're doing something like upcycling and working with partners, you're creating your own supply chain. So to be able to build that partnership, add value to where we're collecting it, not be a burden, and to get that consistency and figure out how to essentially create that journey from farm to flask in a way that created a great product. It really took a lot of thought and discipline on each step of that process. Also just scale, we need a lot of fermentation capacity, so it's not about the pretty shiny still, it's about all the work that goes up even upstream of it. So being able to navigate our needs compared to, typical other products, was unique, but also a rewarding challenge.
Thanks so much, Emily. And thank you so much to all of our finalists and our judges. We've reached the end. I'm going to hand it back to Rosalinda to go over any details about voting. So thank you all so much for being here.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining. As you'll see, we'll put it on the PowerPoint for you. That voting is now live. So please go to our website to vote at distilledspirits.org/innovation/showcase. It'll be open for one more week, the voting, and then also we will, don't forget to join us next year in 2026. Great, and thanks everyone for joining.